Let's go ahead and get started. If everybody would rise and say pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Has everybody signed in?
Yeah, Andy Vasquez called me. He said he's running late because they had power outages. And he'll be here soon. He's not signed in yet. I didn't sign him in.
Okay. Has everybody looked at the meeting minutes from February 20th? Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Public comment? Okay, no public comments. Moving on to number 4, the program of projects update. As I imagine most of you have seen, we have, and we've talked about in the past, we have a new UZA, the Valparaiso Shorewood Forest UZA, and trying to figure out a way to show those funds going forward, and I've been kind of struggling with it, and I figured the only way, the easiest way, is just to put it on its own tab. So what we've done here is all the projects that are within the Valparaiso Shorewood Forest UZA, and that is basically all the projects in Valparaiso, as well as one project in Porter County, one bridge in Porter County.
It's Union Township.
What's that?
Union Township.
That's in Union Township?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's that little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that falls within the UZA. Since Valparaiso has, since these projects were asked prior to the new UZA forming, or we even knowing about the new UZA, we are going to, and I think we all should agree that continue funding those projects. And then the question is, going forward, what we should be doing going forward. So, and so what I've done here is, if you look on the Valparaiso UZA, if you printed it off, or these are all the projects in the Valparaiso and within the UZA, as well as these projects are also listed on the Lake and Porter, because that UZA does not have enough funding to, especially in 2028, I believe, when most of those projects are coming in. That UZA does not have enough to fund all these projects. So I think that UZA gets around $2 million a year. Let me see.
Charles, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
But on the website, when you posted the information, both of the DOEs were the same, so I asked Candace if she reached out to Meredith, and they'll put the one up there for the shipment about the museum. Yeah.
Actually, let me see something. I put this together last week, so But it looks like I've got some issues with my numbers, with my calculations, so. But anyway, all the Valparaiso projects are on the Lake of War also because, and I've set the calculations up so they would draw first from the Valparaiso UZA, and then afterwards, the balance will be funded from Group 1, Lake of War.
Sorry, Charles, did you say that they're now more like Group 2?
They are Group 2.
Group 2.
Right. Yeah, they are Group 2. They're a small Group 2.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember how much funds that they have right off the top of my head. And I apologize for this. I thought this was all, anyway, I'll have to look for it. Are there any questions about what I'm talking about?
So this doesn't include any sort of transit funding, this is highway projects?
This is only highway projects. And if you have questions about transit funding, there are options. I don't know if we've discussed those with you or not, but we can get with Stephen and Dan and myself, and there are different options open for the transit funding. Other than the 5307, you have 5307 and 53 and 5339.
CMAQ comes from this spot for any new service.
Right. So, yes. And we can talk about that. We can talk about transit funding later.
Can I just ask a general question about like how, so this isn't the only MSA that the new census data, resulted in splitting off of these new micro MSAs that used to be part of it. So,
I feel between two Polish guys.
how are other MPOs handling
I know.
this without, really clear guidance from federal highways or from FTA? What are other MPOs doing around the country to resolve this issue? Because we're not getting, good information or guidance or answers or anything from the rulers.
So, digging back to the cobwebs in my mind, we asked this question, and there's several different answers. The FTA has their own guidelines. Federal Highway has their own guidelines. The Census Bureau has their own guidelines, which is part of the Small Business Administration, I believe. And they all have their own guidelines, and they all have their own answers. I know. So, it depends on what kind of funding we're talking about. Because, for instance, FTA, you can't, we were able to talk with, and we talked with all of the affected communities, and we were able to extend the UZA to be probable how the communities see that they're going to be expanding within the next year for federal highway funds. We could do that. We can't do that with transit. We couldn't do that with the census block. Census blocks are what the census blocks are right then and there, right then. So there's, depending on where you're going with your answer, we've got three different answers. There was only one new UZA in Indiana created. And this was this UZA. I can tell you that in the federal highway and FT, well, not so much FTA, but in federal highway, there's an Indiana division, there's a Michigan division, there's an Ohio division, Wyoming division, Hawaii division. And they do not appear to talk with each other as much as you would think. I can ask the Indiana division what they do in Illinois or what they do in Michigan, Ohio for guidance, and they'll say, they'll give me this deer in the headlight look, which seems strange, but it is what it is, and I've gotten that before, looking for answers. And so each division, each state operates with its own guidelines and stuff like that. Yes,
Can I add something?
yeah,
I'm gonna go first. Beth, to answer your question, as it relates to the highway funding, an MPO receives, an apportionment of highway funding based on the populations within the original census drawn urban areas within their metropolitan planning. And as you know, we went through the process of extending out those urban areas, smoothing them out, adjusting them. That doesn't change the amount of funding that we receive, but it does change the way we do planning and things like that. In addition to the urban areas, there's also what's called the metropolitan planning area, which if you've been around here for a while, you probably recognize that term and may know what it means. But what that refers to is the area in which we conduct our metropolitan planning activities. What it also does is it delineates the line in which we can spend those federal highway dollars. So any area within our MPA is eligible to receive federal funding for highways. That's irrespective of which urban area it's in. So for NERC, our metropolitan planning area is the entirety of Lake, Port, and Port counties. So if we receive $1 to the MPO through the Lake and Porter urban area, through the Michigan City and Port urban area, or through the new Valpo Shore urban area, we collectively can spend that anywhere within Lake, Porter, or the Port counties. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what the implication of the new separate Valpo Shorewood Forest urban area is. It's kind of like an anomaly from the Census Bureau, but what it does is it means that we get a separate, kind of like we used to get one big pot, and now we get one slightly smaller pot and one very small pot. So we can choose to either, put those back into our own pot and spend however we want. And then on the accounting side, we just have to account for where the dollar originally came from. Or, as we do with, or we used to do with Lake Porter versus Michigan City Port, we can set up separate sort of programming processes and try to keep those funds separate. What Charles is kind of talking about is we currently have Lake and Porter funding programmed on projects that are now in the Shorewood, or the Valpo Shorewood Forest urban area. So those projects have already been selected by this group. They've been determined to be good projects, regionally significant, not regionally significant for the official definition, but significant enough to the region to warrant federal funding. And so the approach I think that he's describing is to say, in the existing program, what we'll have to do on the accounting side is just say those funds that are going to the Valpo Shorewood Forest urban area, the projects within there are going to be funded through the Lake Porter funding. That makes sense. I don't know if I said too much, but I think that's kind of the question now that we have to wrestle with is just how do we deal with the fact that there's two different sources? Do we continue to put them all together and distribute them that, include Lake Valpo, Shorewood Forest? It's kind of all of Valparaiso plus portions of Porter County. Are they going to be receiving funding through the same ways they have in the past? There are portions of, for example, Porter County now that are receiving funds through the Lake and Porter urban areas, but not part of the actual census drawn urban area, but part of that adjusted. So we kind of have a history of moving things out so that we can fund the best projects, irrespective of where the funding originally came from.
But don't you think eventually that they'll create their own urban area like the Group 2 Michigan City Board, and they would have their own designated fund for
Not
that?
necessarily, the next census, we could
Well,
be
why
moved
wouldn't
back
it be?
in.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good, so I think that there's a couple things that are unique about the developer shore forest urban area. One is it's essentially, contiguous to the Lake Porter area. So there could be projects that could actually span the two urban areas, potentially. Willow Creek, for example, the Willow Creek extension, that might span two urban areas. And every census, again, like the Census Bureau is delineating these things based not on how we do planning, not on how we use funding, purely self-serving to help them rationalize where population is, how they slice it up and categorize it. So, yeah, I don't know, like, I guess it's a question that we have to resolve, whether or not we want to make that distinction. I think from our perspective, at least in the near future, we would be wanting to continue to fund things the way we have been. And then, as Beth mentioned, the Census Bureau every 10 years is going to come up with their own new formula for how to, like, if there's a subdivision like half a mile away, is it part of the urban area or is it not? They make that decision, and like I said, it has nothing to do with whether or not that makes sense from a planning perspective, especially from a transportation planning perspective, where you have long corridors that are crossing municipal boundaries, crossing county boundaries and things like that. So it's quite possible that if population continues to move into this area kind of between Portage and Valparaiso and fill in that gap, that could then, or Chesterton and Valparaiso, that could push that whole area back into the Lake Porter Port, Chicago urban area. And that's, so it's 2024 now, we're talking about programming out to 2029, 2030. So by the time we do our program, again, we could be seeing, oh, now that urban area doesn't even exist anymore, it's part of the Chicago again. So I think from our perspective, and again, we can talk about it more, at least in the short term, in the current programming, we want to kind of move the money around to the projects as they've been identified already. And there is a bit of a precedent for this in the state of Indiana. Like, for example, in South Bend, the South Bend, Mishawaka area, which is Maycog, Michiana area, council of governments, they have two urban areas, and which is one is South Bend and one is Mishawaka, and they try to fund each projects in each, but they're a little different because they really only have like 2 cities in each urban area. They don't have like 41 municipalities to deal with and to satisfy, but they try to keep it kind of even. Your urban area generates, just say like $5 million. We're trying to spend approximately $5 million in this area, but when it comes down to it, they have to move money around, because what you don't want to do is say, oh, we don't have enough projects to spend this money, so we're just going to let it go back, let it disappear. We want to fund the best projects, and sometimes that means swapping money around between urban areas. And that gives us the flexibility too, to kind of say, well, if Valpo, they don't have projects in year 1, but they have more projects in year 2. Well, in year 1, the Valpo money is going to be spent in the Lake Porter urban area, and in year 2, some of the Porter money is going to get spent in the Valpo urban area.
It would seem to me that that area is so small, the type of projects that you could fund would be very restrictive if you weren't mixing funds. So I think just my own general opinion is that should be the direction we're going, is to keep them part of the whole. Unless there's another advantage of keeping them separate that we haven't heard here today. I mean, am I making sense, or?
Yes.
And I think going forward, we're gonna have to start, we're gonna be doing some, I'm gonna be proposing doing some mixing with Michigan City. Because of the same situation. They have a huge, LaPorte County has, at the last meeting, came here and asked for some funds. At the time, we thought we were gonna have some funds, but we don't. Because of our tip. But I do have another option. So they may be loaning Group 1 or Lake and Porter some funds in 27 and 28, and then get those funds back in 29 or 30. I don't know. We'll see. We, at our T-Rock meetings, we're going to be talking about different options and how we can do that to get them. It's a $4 million bridge, and they get $2.6 million annually. So, and the bridge is within an urban area. So, and maybe they ask NDOT for help. And Kathy's really good about just giving assistance. NDOT's really good about giving assistance if you ask for it. But we'll see.
So anyway, this was just a discussion item.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. So we would need to just have, NERC's policy in time for the mill fund, right? That would be, so by this fall, that's our timeline for decision making?
So we are not going to be drafting any policy. We're going to be drafting guidance.
Okay.
And the reason and the difference is, the last time we brought policy before the commission, the commission, there were some commission members that were upset that topical committees were drafting policy. So we're going to draft guidance. So
Great. So but we draft guidance.
prior to the NOFA.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it would just kind of go into the programming rules, programming
Right.
guidance of the notebook, so it wouldn't be a separate document.
Yeah, it would just be one of the programming rules. So, any other discussions? Beth?
Nope.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, get with Stephen and myself, and we'll talk to you about transit funding, because you have different options for that.
The agenda item says
Discussion of vote, yeah, so there is a discussion, I did put that down there, a vote, do we want to continue funding the Valparaiso? Or do we want to split them off and treat them like Michigan City? Jeff had said that we should continue funding the Valparaiso as we have been.
The money stays in the pot.
Yeah.
As Tom was explaining, it's one.
Right. Right.
That makes sense.
So that's where that item, vote item is. So we have a motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay.
And
all those
this
in-
will keep everything in schedule.
What's that?
This will keep everything in schedule by doing it this way, as we always have it.
Yes, this will keep everything
That is cool.
as it is right now.
Right.
So we will continue to fund, Valparaiso projects with the Group 1. And we know, and then it'll just be on the back end, the accounting will be done on our site.
Right, we'll take the UZA money as part of Group 1, but you'll count it
Right,
internally.
right. So what it'll be is the first dollar will come for a project in Valparaiso will come from the Valparaiso UZA, but anything beyond that will be supplemented from this one.
Shouldn't this be a vote to recommend to the full commission this action? Or are we making decisions here that affect
The funding?
all LPAs that
Yeah.
aren't present?
Good idea. That's probably a good idea,
Let's do that.
so the full
Vote to
commission
recommend
has,
to the full commission,
Vote to-
right, rather than a decision being made here, I don't think it's fair to those that aren't well represented and would be at the full commission.
So is that an amendment to the motion?
that would
Who'd
be
you-
an amendment.
Who'd you recognize made the motion?
What's that?
Who? Me? You
Yes.
recognize me? So amend the motion.
Can you repeat the motion then?
The motion is to leave the Valpo Shorewood Forest UZA as part of the whole, part of Group 1, as opposed to splintering them off with limited funds.
As a recommendation to the full commission.
Correct.
Favorable recommendation.
There you go.
yes, second.
Okay. We have a second. And then all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. 4.2, the 2024 to 2028 tip. Our tip still has not been approved. It's been approved by Federal Highway. I know.
So on the last page, how does that update anything? Does that make any difference?
Nothing's been updated. Federal Highway has approved it. But the last I heard, we're waiting on 2 signatures at the state, the governor and the commissioner, NDOT commissioner to sign our approval letter. I know they're busy men. But we're waiting on, and then once those get approved and we're notified of that, then there's a 3-day public comment period before it can go into the state.
3-day.
3-day. 3-day, not 30 days, just 3 days.
And what happens to the Willow Creek since it's been pushed for 2 years or 18 months because EPA hasn't approved it? How does that impact?
Willow Creek is already in our current.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's fine.
But weren't there funds programmed for this year that will have to be moved?
So there were funds in 2024
Mm-hmm.
that we were not able to use.
Right.
And where we could, we pushed those projects to 2025. 2025 right now is balanced. If we get those funds from NDOT, which looks like we are going to be getting those funds from NDOT, we have several trail projects that are letting in this first quarter that need to let by November, the November letting. And if they get those, if we have extra funds left over, then we will not get those funds, but I cannot see us having extra funds left over.
And what happened with purchase orders that were closed, that we're gonna look into again to see if they could be?
The purchase orders that were closed, we were able to get reopened.
Oh, great.
We got new FEMA letters, and we worked with all the communities. We got new FEMA letters, and so all those funds were, and those were taken care of 2024 funds. So we're good with those.
that include the Hammond project? Nelson?
I think they were working on getting the bill. We got the payments turned in right time.
Thought we were held up because the TIF wasn't approved.
If that's the case, then we gotta wait till 2025. I'll have to look. I'll have to put that on my agenda. Thank you. Okay. So anyway, we're still in a holding pattern on the tip, getting our 2024 tip. It could be any day. It could be soon. It could be whenever. Moving on to new business. First item is Vision Zero, Safe Streets for All. We've talked about it, and if anybody went to, we've talked about how safety is on the forefront this year with Federal Highway. Basically, during the pandemic, everybody started working from home for the most part, and there were less cars on the roads, and cars were going faster. And then when the pandemic ended and everybody went back to work, those who were on the road didn't slow down. So accident rates are up, traffic fatalities are up. So there's more emphasis this year with Federal Highway on safe streets and Vision Zero. And so therefore, in our notebook, we are going to be stressing, that'll be one of our stresses, that will be, or one of our emphasis would be in safety projects throughout all of our funding. So there's sound in here somewhere.
The lower right is the sound effect.
Yeah.
Of ensuring road safety and urban environments demands innovative and bold solutions. Vision Zero, originating from Sweden in the 1990s, proposes a radical rethinking of road safety strategies. It is a multifaceted approach aimed at eliminating all traffic-related deaths and serious injuries. As a preview to our discussion,
I'll just start this off.
in cities around the world, the bustling sounds of daily commotion mask an underlying challenge, ensuring the safety of all road users. But what if there was a way to transform our streets, making them safer for everyone? Welcome to our deep dive into Vision Zero, a revolutionary approach to road safety that aims to eliminate all traffic fatalities and serious injuries. The escalating challenge of ensuring road safety and urban environments demands innovative and bold solutions. Vision Zero, originating from Sweden in the 1990s, proposes a radical rethinking of road safety strategies. It is a multifaceted approach aimed at eliminating all traffic-related deaths and serious injuries. As a preview to our discussion, let us check this campaign in Australia about Vision Zero. So last year, 213 people died on our roads. What do you think would be a more acceptable number?
Acceptable? 70 maybe? Probably 70.
You said 70? Actually, this is what 70 people looks like. do you think would be a more acceptable number?
0. 0.
The campaign acknowledges that, as people, we all make mistakes. However, when mistakes happen on our roads that can cost us our lives or cause serious injury, improving the safety of our roads, our speeds, our vehicles, and our people will improve safety for everyone. Because at the heart of Vision Zero is the belief that human health is paramount to all else. At the heart of Vision Zero lies a fundamental principle. The sanctity of human life and health cannot be compromised for any other benefits within the road transport system. Unlike traditional road safety paradigms that focus on mitigating the consequences of accidents and often place the burden of responsibility on individual road users, Vision Zero shifts the focus to systemic design flaws as the main contributors to road safety issues. It shifts the focus from blaming individuals for accidents to addressing systemic design flaws as the main contributors to road safety issues. This approach demands a systemic overhaul of transportation systems, prioritizing safety above all else. Sweden's adoption of Vision Zero in 1997 marked the inception of a global movement toward road safety reform. The initiative's implementation process involved a collaborative effort between the Swedish Road Administration, SRA, government officials, and various stakeholders, reflecting a strong political will and societal consensus on the importance of road safety. Since its implementation, Sweden has seen a notable reduction in traffic fatalities. This collective approach underscored the notion that achieving significant reductions in traffic fatalities requires not just infrastructural changes, but also a cultural shift in how road safety is perceived and valued. Introduced in South Australia in 2008, Vision Zero represents Australia's firm commitment to eliminating road fatalities and serious injuries by 2050. Spearheaded by the South Australian government alongside the Motor Accident Commission and local councils, the initiative launched the Towards Zero Together strategy. Key measures included lowering urban speed limits to 30 kilometers per hour, upgrading infrastructure for cyclists and pedestrians, and tightening DUI enforcement. By 2015, these efforts saw road fatalities in South Australia decrease from 114 in 2008 to 87. Showcasing the potential of integrated road safety strategies and the importance of community and governmental collaboration in improving public safety. Vision Zero's strategy is built on principles that recognize human fallibility and the need for a forgiving road system that can accommodate human errors without catastrophic outcomes. The initiative emphasizes the shared responsibility between system designers and users, advocating for infrastructure and policies designed to minimize fatal consequences of inevitable human mistakes. Key to its approach is the management of kinetic energy in crashes, ensuring that impacts do not exceed the tolerance levels of the human body. The effectiveness of Vision Zero is evident in Sweden's reduced traffic fatalities, from approximately 550 per year to around 450 per year since its implementation. Infrastructure redesigns, such as the introduction of median barriers and the establishment of 30 km per hour speed limits in specific areas, have significantly contributed to these reductions. These measures, derived from Vision Zero's principles, demonstrate the initiative's potential to enhance road safety markedly. A critical aspect of Vision Zero is its design philosophy of integration and separation, aimed at managing kinetic energy in crashes. This involves creating physical separations between different road users, such as pedestrians, cyclists, motor vehicles, and implementing design speeds that align with the human body's impact tolerance. The approach advocates for infrastructure that can prevent severe injuries by accommodating human errors within safe kinetic energy thresholds. Vision Zero represents a transformative approach to road safety, challenging conventional wisdom by insisting on a system where no traffic fatality is acceptable. Its principles of shared responsibility, human fallibility, and safe system design offer a blueprint for cities worldwide to reduce traffic-related fatalities and injuries. The success of Vision Zero in Sweden, Australia, and other countries provide compelling evidence of its potential effectiveness, highlighting the importance of political commitment, societal consensus, and innovative design in achieving safer urban mobility. Together, we can make our streets safe for everyone and for the generations to come. To end this video, we will leave this short campaign from Canada.
What's an acceptable number when it comes to serious injuries or death due to traffic collisions? In your community, in your neighborhood, in your family? The answer is 0.
Traffic collisions are not accidents. They can be prevented.
As I mentioned, the Federal Highways has adopted Vision Zero, and there's a strong emphasis this year on safety, so that will be something in our NOFA, a lot in our NOFA, so the projects that are selected are going to be more emphasis on, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on safety. So, local quarterly meetings, moving on 5.2, local quarterly meetings. We are looking at shuffling projects. Like I said, 2025 we're balanced. 2026 we are we're in the red. 2027 we're balanced, and 2028 we have some extra funds. So we are going to be looking at reshuffling projects and maybe making, maybe moving a project or two out, but again, we'll talk. I've set aside June 11th. I kind of want to wait till after, I definitely want to wait till after our TIP is approved. And I fully believe that we should, I have a strong feeling that we'll have it by the 1st, June 1st. Now, keep in mind that's a week away, week and a half away, but I'm setting up June 11th as a discussion to get everybody in the room on how we can balance, have a discussion how we can balance our program of projects. I don't know, I know, does that date work for most of everybody? Okay. So we'll look at having that date out there. 5.3, the new administration, transportation improvement, the TIP workshop. I think most of you were here for that. That is posted on our website, so if anybody has any questions about it or wants to view it, you can go to our website and view it. I know some people have. And if anybody needs any workshop materials, let me know and I'll be more than happy to give those as parting gifts today. So, 5.4, other new business. The road safety audits. We did send out something last week. I believe everybody in this room got a copy or got an invitation to submit road safety locations for road safety audits. That's been something I've been, yes?
Are you mainly looking at intersections or segments of roads?
Yes.
Both.
Both.
Thank you. Yes.
Both.
Okay.
This is something I've been working on. We've set aside, we've looked at our, we are working with hiring a consultant right now, so we're also looking to get locations, because actually, as we know, a location with a low ADT is going to be a whole lot different in cost than an intersection on, say, Broadway. So,
Refresh my memory, when you want that.
May 31st at 4 p.m. is the deadline for putting in applications.
so,
Would we include state facilities?
yes, you can. However, there is already a corridor study going on 41 as well as Broadway. So, we're probably not going to do a road safety other on that. So, you can submit it, but I probably won't be chosen. Yeah, get us some ideas. We're looking at doing this annually. So, but it'll be we're going to hire a consultant for a 2-year contract. And then every 2 years, we'll just put out a new RFP to hire a consultant. So we could hire a consultant. It could be the same consultant, I don't know. But this way, they have an option if it doesn't work for them, or if we need to restructure it somehow, we can do that. So, anything else on the road safety audits?
The application is very easy to fill out if you're worried about it being difficult.
Yeah.
Online?
It is online. It should have been sent to everybody via constant contact last 2 weeks ago.
A week and a half ago, I think. So the hardest part, I submitted a couple trials, and the hardest part was there's a map on there, and on the right side of the map is some sort of shape, and you just use that shape. You click on that and draw your intersection.
And I did put some directions
Yeah.
afterwards because of him having questions about it. I did put directions on there how to use it. So hopefully that should help also.
And then signing with my mouse. That was the other thing that was different.
We couldn't change that. We still have to do that.
But if you do it on iPad or something like that, then you can use your finger. So. Any other new business? Moving on to number 6.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
All those opposed, please stand up. And
He's stoned
thank
to
you,
death.
everybody.
Okay, thanks, Charles.
So, Cleric,
Clerk, somebody from Balance office.
yeah, somebody from Bell's.